two, one, and I have hit the screen. Let you know when it's live. Okay,
Live.
we're live now.
All right.
Wait,
All
wait,
right.
wait, wait,
Hi.
hold on. Hi. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Higher Flips and Chill podcast. I am so excited to have each and every one of you here once again. I mean, it's a new week, right? I'm Jessie, and I'm your host, right? Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that is long overdue for some honest conversation, right? Our topic today is how honest should we be when giving feedback to rejected candidates, or is there even a need? Right. You know how it goes. You've interviewed someone, they don't make the cut, or you're now at that awkward point. It's awkward for both you as the recruiter and the talent, right? Do you give them the full picture? Do you go into details as to why they did not make that particular job, or get that particular job? Do you sugarcoat it, or do you just send a generic we've decided to move forward with other candidates email, right? So that's what we're going to be discussing today, right? But before we go right into it, let me introduce our amazing guests for today's discussion. First on the list, we have Innocent Amadi. Once again, he's joining us this week. He is a seasoned HR and talent acquisition manager with over a decade of experience in hiring, employee relations, and organizational culture. Innocent, welcome to the show. We are super excited to have you join us again.
Thank you, Jesse. And we should bring popcorns the next time. I don't know. It just feels like we would make this a bit more animated for having popcorn or
Okay,
wine.
noted.
It's
All
higher
right.
flicks and chill.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that reminder. We also have Anita Alex Joseph. She's a results-driven recruitment specialist with expertise in both candidate sourcing and relationship building, and proven ability to identify, attract, and hire top talent, driving business growth and success. Welcome, Anita, to the show.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you.
All right then. Yeah, so we have last on the list we have Christopher Iloka, who is a recruitment and talent acquisition specialist also. He bring a broad and practical view of recruitment and not just across the areas.
I'm very glad to be here, JC. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm trusting that we're all doing good. So
All right.
all right, so we'll just get right into it. So yeah, this is how it started. I think sometime last week I was just surfing through the net and I came across this tweet, a thread actually. A recruiter was giving her own, POV, what happened, and she goes, "I really wanted to tell the candidate why we didn't move forward." I'm just skipping right to the main detail, the main, topic of, discussion here. "I really wanted to tell the candidate why we didn't move forward, but I was scared that it would spark backlash or worse, go viral on Twitter." And that got me thinking, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? Why just recruiters are working on eggshells when it comes to giving feedback? I think let's ask you, your experience. Why do so many recruiters hesitate to give feedback? What would you say is because why does it happen? Yeah.
That's the truth. I think anybody who is giving detailed feedback is still a rookie, and well, you shouldn't do that which is super weird. or anything, it's usually a discriminatory lawsuit, right? And the entire company gets dragged into this mess because one interviewer decided that it's a good thing to it's a cause of public opinion, right? Which is social media. Right? What happens is the number of times, and you may have seen times when people would screenshot official emails and put
Yes.
on Twitter, right, on
Yes.
LinkedIn, to
So
make like a banger tweet or something, or a record, right? It's happened time and again. People like, you know what, I would rather not be a subject of your Twitter engagement. I'm just going to safely stay away from whatever drama that you may or not be able to create. I'm not saying you're a person who's going to create drama, right? I'd rather not be in the line of fire if the devil decides to dance that way. Right, so that's why I said, like, no experienced recruiter who will sit you down and give detailed feedback because of those reasons. Now it's painful because people do need this feedback, right? So how then would you get feedback? Or maybe that's a different question. I'll just pause it here. But yeah, that's my top two reasons. Yeah.
all right, but then again, do these candidates really want the truth, or they are just looking for some sort of closure? You apply to a particular job and then you have high expectations, or your hopes are high up there,
Of course, yeah.
and then still waiting for like a kind of feedback, but not. The kind of feedback that I would like to get is no, but I think you should tell me.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. Okay, I'm fit for. I don't know, like, is that the truth or sort of, what do you think about that?
I think most people want the truth. I mean, you're very honest, so you're rejecting them. The least you could do is tell me why. And I think that you're dealing with adults for the most part. So when they know that something wasn't right, and I think people, there's a lot of BS in the world, right? There's a lot of aspirations, so like, you can do it, so you will do it next time. People are tired of hearing that. People want to hear genuine feedback, right? And I think that if you sat people, like what I talked about, people suing people, putting stuff on social media, that's like it might be less than 2% of the overall population. The majority of people would really value this feedback, and they would value the raw, undentured one, because that's the one they can work on, right? If you sugarcoat stuff, it doesn't help me because I can't do anything with that. It just helps me feel better, but then it screws me the next day because I'll just go ahead and repeat my mistake, right? So I think that people are adults for the most part, and they can handle the feedback. The problem is getting the feedback, as always. Yeah.
All right. So we've been saying it. We've been talking about feedback a lot, right? But then again, I know that there are different kinds of feedback, right? So what kind of feedback should a recruiter give? I don't want to check my mail after a particular job application and see. I don't know. Like, how constructive should it be? Like, what kind of feedback should a recruiter give?
I'll let Anita take this one. Yeah.
All right. I think it's very dicey.
Okay. Talking about feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, talking about feedbacks, why recruiters actually avoid giving feedbacks to candidates. One, I would say, they tend to avoid conflict and unnecessary arguments between the recruiter and the talent. And again, they wouldn't want to upset the talent, because I'm sure going through all the process of applying, updating CVs and all that, the candidate is already overwhelmed. And after the interview, you're being called you request for a feedback, and what you're getting is, oh, sorry, I don't know this candidate. So, no, they tend to not let the candidate be upset about the whole process, right? Secondly, I would say most of the time the recruiter is always overwhelmed with work, right, and wouldn't have the time, right, to give feedback to the talent, although they will be expecting feedback from this company, so most of the time it happens to me a lot, right? I've had good candidates, and they will all be expecting feedback. One, for me not giving them feedback is not because I don't want to give them feedback, but because some certain factors are actually behind it, which I wouldn't want to, disclose. Yeah. Um, Again, I would also say maybe the company's rules might be restricting you from actually giving feedback, right? So to me, I would say giving a generic feedback is safe, right? So that you don't get caught up or maybe putting one into depression, especially how how the country is now. So I would say I give a generic feedback, not giving proper details as to why I'm, not going forward to you. It's not like you're not perfect or you're not suitable, but something could lead to why I am not taking you at this point.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say that too because there is also the time factor. Imagine you have over 20 plus job roles to fill. Is it even realistic to like give personalized feedback to every rejected candidate, right? But then again, there's this statement I hear most of the time. So some recruiters just say if the candidate was really close, I will give feedback. But if they were like off the mark, I won't even bother. Chris, what do you think about this kind of selective honesty? Because at this point, it's selective honesty.
Um, right. Okay. So I'll call it selective honesty per se. It's just concerning, as Anita said, because of the time constraint, giving feedback should be on request. The candidate that reaches back to you and requests for, hi, how did I do in this interview? You can give those type feedback because going through each of the candidates you interview one by one by one, I won't say it doesn't make sense. Imagine you're recruiting for 3 rows, open interview, and you interview 400 people per row. That is over 400 times 4. That is 1,600 people. So those ones are actually wait for feedback. It's not sexy. We're saying selective. So that's my opinion on that.
All right, so I think that's
No, I think it's fine. Because if you think about the factors I said before, you want to play it safe. It's really around big the factors I said before. You don't want somebody that's going to slap you back with something legal or someone that's going to use you to add a few more followers on Twitter, right? If it's somebody close, then they are safe, right? I mean, not always, like not 100%, but they're at least safer than the devil, right? So you can dance. If you know the person, you can also say, hey, make sure this thing I'm saying, I hope it doesn't end up over there. But you can give some parameters. The people, this is a person you know, and chances are, if you have friends that like take conversations you have and then trade on social media, then you really don't have friends, right? So, if it's somebody you don't have that problem. And that I think that's even one more evidence why, like, is the leader driver of feedback. A few days ago, we shared a mail we had gotten from Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a very popular VC firm based yes, California. It was a rejection mail, where they said, "Hey, fortunately, we'll be moving forward with your application." They then went in the second paragraph to say, "Hey, by the way, one of the major reasons we're rejecting you is because like you typed an entire application with small letter, right? It was all lowercase, and it was difficult to read, and it made you feel like you didn't pay attention to the detail. And we don't want people who don't pay attention to details in our like
wow.
reports. So maybe it's something you could work on, right? You could tell it was very good intentioned, but guess what? I read it. Where did I read it? On Twitter. Where did I say he was? But that's what is able to me, right? Like it's like he has these like these kind of people to be able to look beyond that kind of petty reason, right? And maybe some traits in that I don't know. I probably would have made a call if I had submitted an application in full lowercase, like what we're doing here, right? But the implication now the company has to come and start defending what they had done or look through the process. It takes at the end of the day, I think an executive had to come and address They said like didn't even happen or something, or whatever. But now it's taking time off because somebody has to see it, has to report it, then the other person has to take it, report it, goes out of the chain, and then the director comes to address it. That's time that the director would rather be using to do something else. So it's a real valid problem. And that one was actually really, you could tell that they were very careful that they didn't enter any legal mess. Imagine if it's somebody you liked, or rather somebody that struck a good impression with you. And I think as recruiters, we've all had those kind of candidates that you loved their personality, you loved the drive, the vibe was right, but something was off, right? And maybe it's the way they presented their experience, maybe it's a certain a core competency that is missing, that you just want to tell them that you know what, you could do this better or this better. But you just bite your tongue because, again, the reasons I've said before. Yeah. So yes, I think it's selective honesty, and if you want to play it safe, you definitely, as an adult, you have to be selective in your honesty, anyways. So.
But then again, how much honesty is too much? How much do you want to?
Yeah, like respond.
Okay, how do you want to take that? How much honesty is too much? I mean, you can be over honest and it could be taken the wrong way. Right?
All right. Talking about honesty, right? Some recruiters, while giving honesty, actually varies, right? So some would want to be tactical, right? So the thing is, giving feedback to a candidate, it actually helps improve the candidate, right? So if you're saying, okay, this is why I'm actually going forward with you, you're being honest. The person who is requesting for a feedback is willing to hear both the negative parts and the positive parts. So I would say I'm going to be tactical in giving feedback so that I won't, so that I won't allow anybody fall into depression or, So my giving feedback actually helps improve the candidates. Your skill, personal growth, that is the reason why I'm giving feedback, right? And again, I would say giving feedback doesn't mean the person doesn't have what it takes to, scale through the job, right? So I'm giving you that feedback so that you can actually work on yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to help you improve so that you can actually help work on yourself in your test, in your communication, in your representation and all that. After giving you this feedback, and if you don't, work on it, and I recall you for an interview, to be honest, if you ask me for a feedback again, I wouldn't do that. So giving feedback actually helps me to improve someone's skills and capability. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. That's smart, I think. Yes, because you want to approach this. It's very nice. You want to be very, very careful with how give out feedback, how you manage the kind of situation. Yes, I have this question though. Like I've heard a lot about people side of giving feedback, and I'm confused. I don't know what that means at all. Right? Do you also maybe talk about that?
Of course. It takes a foundation for the first question, which is how much is too much. There's
Okay.
legal side. This means what parties agree to be allowed by the law, right? Ethical side means what is allowed by the ethics of profession, right? Conscience. Yeah, these might necessarily be the same thing. If having doubts on the side of the law, always, right? I think that's that way of as I said, ethics of the profession, but ethics of the profession will help you if it's against the law. What exactly? What's the distinction? If you're giving feedback, I have read on there's a Reddit thread about somebody who talked about her hair. The interviewer gave her feedback on her hair, right? Incidentally, it was a black woman, and the interviewer, I think she was trying to be nice, and she was like, you know what, maybe Next time, could we a bit more professionally? And that was like, dun 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 dun. Okay, what do you mean professionally? How should I have worn my hair from? What the hell do you mean? You know, it's like, oh my god, they got into it. It was crazy. The company was dragged. And like, how should a black woman wear her hair professionally? What does professionally mean? You mean she has to wear? You know, it's you can imagine how that has spiral and did spiral, right? And it's much. It's like if you're in doubt, it's just don't, right? They hadn't add to the interview, right? They didn't say anything about her core competency. So that's just you reaching. Why are you reaching? Don't. Like, it might be, if you might feel super justified, right? So just don't. If you don't have to, you can take a decision whatever you want to do, but just don't. Now, the law changes from place to place, right? And changes from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So it's hard to talk about a certain legal umbrella for everyone. The U.S. laws against discrimination, for instance, is a lot more detailed than Nigerian laws against discrimination, which is like non-existent at this point. What the hell is our law against what is discrimination? Those that are passed, did they have two heads? That's the first question you're going to get, right? So because you don't know, you just want to err on the side of assuming like everything is right and nothing. If you then must give feedback, as I said, make sure it's somebody you trust. It's in a medium that you can trust. Don't ever for interviews, I would say like you want to really, really avoid giving oral feedback. Like, don't ever do that. Always give written feedback if you must. All right.
One.
Because it's a document that both of you have. When you give oral feedback, guess what? A few words can be added at the middle and change, or one comma can change the entire sentence meaning, right? And then you start defending your Facebook when you said it's, it's just it gets crazy, and you don't want to fall into that rock at all. Just like, hi, I want someone that like somebody sends a passionate message or tells me after the interview, like, you know what, like just person to person that like to know what I did. I'll tell them, okay, that's fine. I will send you a mail. And I do. I send you a mail like, hey, here's what I think. This is out, and in the middle it's usually, hey, this is me giving my personal opinion, right? Based on this is not an official email. Alright, sometimes I go as far as sending it with my personal email, because once you do that, first thing you've done, you've protected the company and the reputation. It can be used against them. The second thing you've done is you've taken off the oath of power, right, and put on this as a friend, which then makes whatever you use inadmissible in court. All right, so it's hard for you to get sued that way. So just say, hey, my personal opinion, here's what I think. I think that this is, I don't know if it affects you or not, but this is how it just rubbed off for me. Is you can't argue with how something rubbed off for me, right? But then it's written, so if it ever gets shared, at least it's the same copy that I have. I know the risk and I'm taking it, that's the same copy. That's probably what the guys at Y Combinator did when they did that, And the good thing is, like, once it was shared, a lot of people came out and say, Yusuf, why would you submit something with lowercase? You just have sense now, what's the problem? Right, so yeah, it's just understanding the risk and making sure that you are playing at a place where you can defend.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Sarah. I mean, that was really insightful. And I guess I never thank oral feedback, dear recruiters. Chris, what's one last thing you want recruiters to do? Just take away from this conversation, not just recruiters, but like job seekers as well.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. So what I would say is, like, based on everything we've discussed so far, especially from what Innocent said concerning the being complicit or not putting the company complicit when giving feedback, I'll say that's just be constructive when giving feedback. Avoid should I call it avoid talking about the characteristics. Maybe you didn't sit properly during the interview, you're sweeping your chair, because I know that I've been in situations during recruitment that swerving of that chair annoys you that is trying to, and that will tick you off, and that person already down on your list. But when you're giving feedback, you can avoid saying things like that. Instead of saying stop swerving your chair or comport yourself, you can say you didn't meet the criteria because of, and don't say it's a behavioral issue because they can use that against you. What if the person has a disorder? Then they can now hold it that, oh, you are biased against the disorder. The lawsuit has been slammed against you and like that. So you just do not focus on the person's physical. Talk more on the skill set. You have so many skills, more advanced skill set. So I just say be more technical, as I said, be more tactical when giving the feedback. So that's just as innocent, my opinion.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for your opinion. Thank you very much, Anita. Thank you, Innocent. We came into this, podcast asking how honest should we be as recruiters when giving feedback. But I think the better question is how can we create a culture of feedback that is honest and human, right? Because in the end, we all have feelings. Yeah. So to everyone listening, what do you think? Have you ever given or received feedback that changed your perspective? Let us know in the comments. Huge thanks to everyone that joined us today, and for your insights and your candor today. We'll be back again next week, same time, with another real, raw, and relevant conversation. But until then, remember, feedback is not just about love, it's about growth, and we owe each other that message. On that note, let's all have a good day. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Everybody.